Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Full Dive Gaming Podcast. I just keep messing up that bit. Bringing a weekly dive of all the news, discussion, and condensed nerd talk you need for virtual reality gaming every Friday. I'm Rip McAfee, producer and editor of this podcast.
I'm Jay Bratt, a virtual reality YouTuber.
I'm Destiny Wheeler, entrepreneur and VR enthusiast.
So, unfortunately, we don't have Adam here. He wasn't able to make it to this week's podcast, but we have a very special guest for this podcast to replace him.
Hello, I'm that guy's Will, and I create content revolving around the PSVR.
And we'll have links and stuff to his YouTube channel, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the very end of the podcast. I'm now realizing that I should have audience. I have recently joined, and this is like kind of older news, and I just realized that I haven't made the change yet. I joined I'm always hesitant to call it pro, but at least I joined a competitive team for the game Onward recently. So maybe I should be attaching that to the little introduction bit.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
Pro gamer here, guys.
Pro gamer. I'm Rip McAfee, producer and pro gamer.
All
We're gonna
right.
watch you live.
So we are all sitting here in VR, guys. We're interacting as if we were really together in one room. So check out the YouTube channel. We got links everywhere if you want to see us and our lovely virtual reality faces. We run the podcast in 3 sections. First, a VR gaming news section. Second, we'll be talking about our experiences with some of the new VR games to come out. And third, we'll be running a discussion that changes week to week. This week, we'll be talking about whether you should be purchasing an HP Reverb G2 or a Valve Index. It was a question brought by our community. We're going to be excited to answer that one. Last week, we covered the importance of room scale in VR. Really important topic. I recommend you check out last week's podcast to hear all about that one. So before we get into the news section, we have a bit of Q&A. Just one question this week. This one's from Starsight. Was I supposed to introduce? Oh, I'm introducing it now. Will you guys ever do a fan meeting, and when? I feel like we got
That's
it
a
now.
good question. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be really cool.
Well,
Yeah.
we've got that coming, and then I'm scared. I feel like I might be letting the cat out of the bag. I won't say anything unless Rip says some more. But there is some ideas. There is some ideas for the future of fans being around and stuff to do with the podcast. So there's more details to come. Very exciting stuff.
Yes, absolutely. We're not supposed to technically say in what game we're recording this, but we're recording in a very obvious game that probably comes to everyone's minds when they think of social VR. And we chose this because it's very modular, and we can sort of try and get an audience in this thing at some point. So we sort of have been prepared for this, at least in theory, since the beginning. So we're absolutely looking to have people here, right here in this record. Well, you won't be able to hear them. They're just gonna be able to watch us silently or something. But we would love it for you guys to be able to be here, and well, actually, you might be able to talk to each other. We just won't. We will have you muted, so we won't hear you. But who knows? The details might change. But yes, it's in the works, and at the very least, if you're talking just meetups like playing games with the audience, we would absolutely love to do that, and we'll try to get some stuff set up.
Love it. Love everything
Yes.
about it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So our news section, but first, this news section, I just don't have it today. But first, this news segment is brought to you by no one. We have no sponsors. But if you would like to be a sponsor for this podcast, please reach out to me at ripmcafee@fulldivepodcast.com. If you do not know how to spell that, that's RIPMCAFEE. And if that's still too hard for you, it's in the show notes. All right. First news piece. Take us away, Jay.
Exciting, crazy news this week. A brand new Star Wars game is coming this October. Full VR support across the whole game. They said it's going to be on PC, PSVR, and standalone, which we all know basically means the Quest and the Quest only. Maybe the Pico
Right.
Neo 2 is going to get it. I don't know. Probably
That
only
would
the
be
Quest.
hilarious.
Buckle up, take full control of starfighters such as the X-Wing and TIE Fighter. Feel the adrenaline of strategic first-person 5v5 multiplayer dogfights alongside your squadron. You go into a fateful campaign. It's set near the conclusion of the Galactic Civil War. The nerds will have to tell me what that even means. I don't even know. Learn what it means to be a pilot in a thrilling Star Wars single-player story. The New Republic fights for freedom. The Empire demands order. You get to join the galaxy's finest October 2nd, 2020. Not only is this VR, this is PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Origin PC, Steam, Epic, everything. So that means tons of players, cross-play with VR, huge player base. We're super excited. By the time this podcast comes out, the gameplay world premiere will have come out on June 18th. So check that out too if you want to see some more footage. Who else is crazy excited about this?
I'm so freaking hyped. Like, oh my god.
5v5. That's a lot.
Oh man. Yeah.
Fully
Have you guys
in
seen...
VR. Fully.
No.
Completely.
It's not just VR, right?
It's fully in VR is what he's saying.
No,
yes,
I'm saying
so.
everything.
Oh yeah.
VR.
Right,
Whole
yeah,
game,
like
fully
full
supported.
crossplay.
Crossplay,
And crossplay.
cross-platform. It's
This is
supposed
huge
to be
that's
endeavor.
really nice.
Yeah.
And HOTAS support on PC. HOTAS is supported.
Yeah.
I just saw it the other day.
It better
So
be
this
on PSVR too.
I hope so. Mine is collecting dust.
Yeah, this is... I mean, wow. What happened to EA? Is this... Are you okay, EA? Like, is this...
Where's the microtransactions?
That was
someone
what
put a
everyone's
heart in
been
you?
worried about already. Everyone's mentioning that. They're like, hey, Star Wars! And it was like EA. And they're like, oh crap.
Right? Yeah. This is too good to be true. There's no way. And they're not wrong. Like, I mean, you know, we've had some really great stuff out of EA. We had the whole Titanfall series, and we had, I guess, Apex Legends, but some people have some things to say about it. But whatever, you know what? It really is pretty great. And they've, for those that aren't familiar, Battlefront 2 released to a ton of controversy, and if for anyone that's been paying attention to that game, they've done like a complete 180. I'm sorry, this isn't very VR related, but it's related to this. Battlefront 2 really did a big turnaround, and DICE and EA have been working really hard to change that opinion that people have of them. And they're releasing a ton of their games on Steam. We're seeing a lot of these really great games. We've been seeing a lot of VR support, which is kind of like, why like, of all the companies that I was expecting to be like, yeah, we're gonna start going into that VR market, it wasn't EA and Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought it would be, I don't know what I thought it'd be. Not EA or Disney.
Well, and on the VR side of things here, we're all super excited about this, but on the other hand, it's like, it's about time. I mean, when VR first started becoming a thing, everybody was like Star Wars and lightsabers, and like there's been so many fan-created games out there that you can play because no big publishers have been getting in and doing anything with Star Wars. So finally, we're starting to see more exciting things about this. Obviously, Vader Immortal, that same company is making another one. Now EA is this. I mean, we've been waiting years for this, those of us who have been in VR. So I'm excited, but it's also, it's about time. We need some more.
Right. Yeah. This is super exciting. Ugh, I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped. This is like similar amount of hype to when Elite Dangerous dropped that new update. Though a quick little update on that update for those that listen to that podcast, the new Elite Dangerous update will not have VR support, so it's a double-edged sword.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anything else to add, guys?
Uh-oh.
Oh goodness.
That's how sad the news was. I fell out of my chair.
He's like, I'm so pumped.
He just had to express
Couldn't
himself.
contain himself.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Next news piece, please.
Yeah, so this week, Trover Saves the Universe comes to Quest on June 18th. For those who don't know, this game is brought to you by the co-creator of Rick and Morty. It has been described as a bizarre comedy adventure. So basically for fans or for people who are fans of the show and like that type of comedy and style, you're gonna love this game. Like it literally watching the trailer, I just thought it was straight up Rick and Morty.
Really?
But yeah, like it kind of has that like vulgar comedy like edge, but
Mm-hmm.
it looks like it'll be really fun. It's very different than a lot of the other games out there, right now. I think it'll do
Right.
well.
Well, and the main character's voice is Morty's voice. I mean, he didn't even try to make it sound different. It's straight up Morty's voice. So you're really
Yeah.
gonna feel that whole vibe from it. I
Oh,
actually
for
haven't
sure.
played it. I'm sure some of you have.
Mm-mm.
No,
Played Trover?
no.
Yeah, someone here has to have played Trover, right?
Is it so? It's been out already. What was
Oh,
it?
it's
What
been.
systems was it
This
on?
is just coming out to Quest now this
Yes,
week, but
it's new to Quest.
it's been on PC and PSVR for a minute now.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, man, I feel ashamed. Okay, none of us have
When
played
did it come out?
No, I've been
Published
meaning
on
to, but I haven't. I haven't had the chance yet.
Same.
initial release date May 31st. How have I not heard of this?
That was like last year though, May, right? That was like
I take it back. I remember seeing this.
it's
I think even on the
it's
Oculus store.
about a
Yep.
year.
This has been out a while, but now
Mhm.
Quest finally gets it, which is exciting. I played Accounting Plus and Rick and Morty Virtual Reality, both same publishers, same comedy style to a degree. I've been wanting to get and play Trover. I just haven't yet either, so I feel guilty. But it's really exciting. It's on Quest. Who knows? Maybe I'll play it on Quest now because I have a Quest and I
Yeah,
love being
there you
wireless. So
go.
maybe this will be the way to finally do it.
That
Mhm.
would be fun.
I'm trying to look it up on Oculus to see what its reviews are, but it's here we go. Oculus is behaving really weirdly. It's really positive review. How have I not really? This has been totally under the radar for me.
Someone's got homework for next week now.
Someone does, and it's $30.
It's not cheap.
Not cheap. Not
I don't know if
cheap.
it's been on sale yet either. That's a good question.
Free DLC apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, shoot. I think I'll try this out though. At the very least. Interesting, intriguing. IGN reviewed it with an 8.7. Okay.
I wonder if it's gonna be crossplayer. Well, is it multiplayer? I didn't see that
No,
part.
it's like an adventure game.
Single user.
Yep.
It says.
Okay.
It's like an adventure game. And
a
I think
platformer.
that for those people who really like Rick and Morty like I do, but didn't really like Accounting Plus, this also leans more towards the Rick and Morty side of the humor rather than like only leaning on the interdimensional cable side of the show. So I think this is for the Rick and Morty fans from what I've
Oh, yeah.
seen, and I'm excited to try it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
This looks fun. Have you played this, Will?
No, I haven't had the
No?
chance to.
Have you
Looks
seen?
great.
Have you seen it before though?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So it's
Will.
just me.
I put my name out there to bring you on the podcast, Will. And this is how you repay me.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe it. You were supposed to be
I've
the one
played
who played
almost
any games
everything.
we hadn't.
Almost everything.
That's it. You're unfriended.
Almost.
I seem to just get the bad stuff.
That now we figured out how he gets all the free game codes. They only give him the
Yeah.
crappy games.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I get it.
All right. Moving on. Next news piece. So I'll be saying this one. HTC announces. This is what I get for not reading this one ahead of time. It's been a super busy week for me. I just finished up finals week. I just graduated, and it was my birthday yesterday. I have had no time, no free time. Thank you. No free time at all. I'm behind on YouTube videos. I'm behind on everything. Okay. Moving on. HTC announces Vive XR Suite, a bundle of VR apps for remote productivity. What in the world does that mean? Good question. I don't know either. Let's find out. HTC today announced the Vive XR Suite, a bundle. What is wrong with me today? a bundle
I'm not the only
of
one.
5.
You want me to take over, Rip? You doing okay?
No. I got this. A bundle of 5 enterprise-focused VR applications. The company has tapped the likes of VR Chat, Museum of Other Realities, never heard of that, and Engage to offer businesses a range of VR services to choose from. HTC is trying to seize the moment, as much of the world remains on lockdown, to make VR based at remote education, meetings, and socializing the new norm. The community is bundling a handful of collaborative and social VR applications together under the Vive XR Suite brand, which it hopes will make it easy for businesses to get up and running with remote work and collaboration. But are they giving away free headsets? Because that's really how you're going to get them,
Right.
HTC. And you
Yeah.
do not have very cheap headsets to give away freely.
No,
Hmm.
I feel like any talks of Vive should be like separate from HTC at this point because I feel like Vive is almost like the last thing even holding them together. And
Right?
I laughed so hard at the part where they said they're seizing the moment. 'Cause it's like, I don't think HTC has seized the moment since like, I don't know, 2012.
Right?
Like for a
Yeah.
minute there, they were on top of the mobile game and then they just fell off hard. So I hope this is something for them, but I'm worried they're gonna fall into obscurity, even as one of the original big headset makers. I feel like they're
Yeah.
already kind of falling off. So
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they're, the headsets to buy right now. I mean, a lot of people are still buying Vive, but by and large, people are buying Oculus and they're buying the Valve Index.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah, I don't know. Is this, first off, HTC, if this is Vive exclusive, don't make it Vive exclusive. Just don't. If you are, this is going to be a total flop.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't understand. Like, so are they trying to make like a package deal basically? Where it's like all of this will be available together?
It
what I
sounds
don't
like that they're putting together a bunch of things so that like your business can buy this and everyone can now from home use all these different tools. It's going to help your business. Like it's kind of a
right,
smart idea for the situation we're in as a world. But do any businesses have enough VR headsets to actually pull this off? I mean, maybe VR companies, but that's a pretty small well to be drawing from. So
right, yeah,
Right, and especially PC ran ones, like, I don't know. I can see where they're going with it. I mean, and it's overall good idea, but
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
I
know.
definitely, I could see. Okay, if I'm a business, I could see the benefit of having like a Microsoft Office suite style of just like you bought the whole company bought a bunch of, I don't know, let's say quests. If they don't have quest support for this, they've totally lost their minds because
No, yeah.
that would be the best option for businesses is like only spend $400 and you can buy everyone a headset and they just keep it on their desk. Um, so let's say everyone gets a quest. You purchase this suite. You boot up the suite, the Vive XR suite. You boot it up, and you have most of what you need readily available. You like can hop into meetings fairly seamlessly. You can open chats. What else do they say here? Museum of I
Yeah,
don't
what
know what
is
that means.
that?
Yeah,
go tour the
Does
museum
anybody
on your
know?
break. You got a break, you go
I
to the
guess
museum, you learn some
It
stuff.
sounds
there's
kind
no
of
way.
interesting. I kind of want to check that out.
Yeah, and engage. I don't know what engage is either.
I
Mm-mm.
think I've
Um,
heard of that VR chat thing. Yeah, that's
yeah, yeah, that sounds very familiar. Um, so I mean, I can get that. I can get behind that, but it's got to be real seamless and it's got to be available on more than just the Vive. Because imagine trying to set up because Vives aren't inside out, right? None of them are inside out, right? Yet,
No,
am I wrong
no.
on that?
Well, the Elite
Mm-mm.
Cosmos and stuff, they are starting to get that, but it's definitely not what people have in their homes readily
Right.
available.
So that means every single person's cubicle needs lighthouses, like the tracking cameras. Imagine the
Yeah.
nightmare.
uh,
Yeah.
Like, there's just no way that people want to do that. Five. I mean, if you want to focus on the software, by all means. But if you're trying to make this like really just a part of the Vive and heaven forbid exclusive to the uh, Vive headsets, you're making a mistake. Cool idea, but you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
Okay. I think since we're all done talking about that, let's talk about something a little more exciting.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
Hopefully most of you out there, if you're into gaming at all, you watched the PS5 reveal event. And since we're here to talk about VR, we're going to talk about PlayStation 5 will support
Jeez.
PSVR.
See, it's not
Uh,
just me.
You're contacting me and you're giving me this whatever this is you have and messing me up now too. So it was more than a year ago before PlayStation 5 was formally announced. Sony confirmed its next gen console was going to continue to support PlayStation VR. Luckily, those plans haven't changed. Following the full reveal of the PS5 system last week, the company affirms that it's going to support PSVR. We still aren't expecting to see a PSVR 2 official announcement until after console launch, but Sony didn't indicate that any of the games announced during last week's PS5 reveal will support VR. Now, for those of you who watched it, and if you're an avid PSVR fan, you might have caught there was a tiny little Easter egg in the presentation. And that was just before Astro's Playroom, Astrobot, great PSVR game. Just before that, there was a little blurb that came up on the screen and said, "See health and safety warnings." And that is like exclusive to PSVR. That's something that comes up before every PSVR game. So that has fueled a lot of belief that that game at least is going to be able to be played on PSVR. It might be also a flat game, but it at least seemed like they put that in there, hopefully for us. I don't know. Maybe that just accidentally got in there, but it seemed like it was alluding to the fact that this game would have PSVR support. So
what's the game's name again for the audience?
Astrobot Rescue Mission was the first game on PSVR. It's an amazing platformer. This new one is Astro's Playroom, now featuring same character, somewhat the same gameplay style, but it looks like more freedom and more. So
was the previous game, did the previous game have VR support?
Oh, it was only VR. The previous game, Astrobot Rescue Mission, best VR platformer in existence. I don't care what anyone else says. I'm looking at you, Rick.
Better than Moss?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Loads better.
Yeah.
I'll have to try.
And I love Moss, so that's saying a lot.
Yeah, that is saying a lot. I thought Moss was sort of like the understood.
To people who don't know anything exists besides PC VR, Rip, they think Moss is the best, but Astrobot blows Moss out of the water. Just saying.
Nothing exists but PC. I still don't know what you're talking about. What is this mythical PlayStation VR?
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting over there next time.
Oh, that's right. I remembered the peasants talking about it last week.
Oh, no.
Will, help me out here. This is why I brought you in, Will. Tell them. Tell them
no, bye-bye.
Get back in your chair, Will.
I'm not sitting with you.
Will has seen that he is not welcome.
Oh, man.
I don't know what to say.
I kid. A little bit. Next news piece. Destiny.
Is it mine?
Oh yeah.
Okay, then I totally got lost.
Sprung on you right at the end. Here you go. You got this.
Okay. So Half-Life Alyx update will bring new weapon and content for workshop modding. So with this version of 1.4.1, it will add tweaks to the workshop modding tools, allowing modders to bring new weapons to the game. It will also include improvements to the tools, including audio, animation, and new documentation. There we go.
Nice.
So I think that's going to be my game for this week. I know I've talked about it, but I'm just going to go ahead and commit. Like, Half-Life is, it's going to happen this week.
Yes.
Well, there's many people like
what you think of that.
Yeah, there's many people like you who own a Quest and who either haven't had the link, got the link, and are still kind of afraid to try it. So, like, there's a lot of people who have Quests that have really wanted to try Half-Life Alyx and haven't gotten to yet. Where those of us who had PC, it was like day one we got it, and we were all over it. So, I'm going to be excited to hear what you think. And then I don't know if you're much of a modder. I haven't played with any of this. I haven't played with the mods, the workshop, any of that yet. I still need to finish the game, which I think I'm close. But what about you? Have you played with any of that yet, Rip?
I mod very few games because I don't know. I like to see the original developer's vision for a game. So unless I truly think it like is missing something by not having mods, I tend not to mod games. I think like the only exceptions are like Blade and Sorcery and Skyrim. I think those are the only games I've.
And Beat
Saber, right? And Beat Saber, you know, Beat Saber is a good example where without mods, you can't have community-made maps. It seems like a no-brain feature. So like those sorts of things, sure, I'll download. I haven't really seen any mods for Half-Life Alyx that have gotten me too excited. I don't know. Like I saw some posts on some of the subreddits when this was announced, as they talked about A lot of the people who'd made mods for guns were saying that you could mod it, but the moment you reloaded your gun, it removed whatever you like mod that was affecting it. Something about that. Um, so it's, I think I'm happy to see this change. Hopefully we'll see some cool new mods. I haven't seen anything that's blown my mind though. Also, Half-Life Alyx to me isn't really the kind of game that I would. I might replay it once it's like been I don't know, a couple years or something. When I'm like, all right, let's jump back in. But having played it relatively recently, I don't know. It'd be like rereading a book. Like it's a very linear game. I would know exactly what to do and what to expect. I did it so recently. They would kind of remove the. It would have to be some pretty significant mods that like practically create a new game for me to want to really be excited about this. Sorry, modders.
So are you
Well, you've
saying like
played the game.
there's not a lot of replayability?
Second,
So are you saying like there's not a lot of replayability?
not. I mean, some guys will be like, "That's crazy. This game's so good. How can you not want to replay this over and over?" But just that's I don't know. It's not the kind of gamer I am. If I've played a
Mhm.
single player game, I tend not to replay it unless I literally can't think of a single player game that I've replayed. I just I played it and then it's had its time and now I've got other stuff to play. There's always new stuff to play.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, that is true. I usually
yeah,
prefer like multiplayer games
yeah.
or like online
So
player.
yeah, I don't know. It's Half-Life Alyx is a great game and I think everyone should absolutely buy it, regardless of its replayability factor. I think that's just it's not the point. It's not the point of Half-Life Alyx. In my
That's true. What about you, Will? You've played it?
Yeah, I've played it, and I mean, I wouldn't replay it either. I'd agree with you, but I think that's what makes the workshop so good. Is you basically have an infinite amount of content once you've a few years in, even if it's just small
right.
little levels. Being able to test out all the physics with user created content, or I saw like an endless horde mode. Not having to worry about
Yeah,
ammo conservation, just
that'd
being
be
able to
cool.
let loose. That's awesome.
Oh,
I think I'm
nice.
just gonna wait a few months and then install everything I can, so I'll just have
Yeah.
hours upon hours of stuff to do. So, yeah,
Yeah, I get that. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting.
it
And
will
hopefully we
be.
get support. Hopefully it works fairly well with the Oculus Quest using a link for PC.
Yeah, I'll let y'all know.
All right. We'll have to see. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you think of Half-Life Alyx, though.
For sure.
You've played Half-Life Alyx, right?
Yeah, I'm most of the way through it. I've been trying to record it all as I go, and it's a beast to edit them because they end up being these long episodes.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's the only thing I wonder, like once you beat the game, the only reason I would probably go back and play it again, kind of like Resident Evil 4, if you can go back with like all your guns that you had and like keep your ammo too, like go back and just run through and just kill everything. I think that would be kind of fun one time, but after that, I definitely would not see replaying it again and again. But if you can keep your good guns and have those even in the beginning, that might be kind of fun for a fast playthrough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I think with that, we are going to end the news section and move on to the gaming section. Do we have any Q&A for this one? No. We're pretty much. I guess we're just done with Q&A. So we've got a number of games that we've been playing. It says Pavlov all hosts. Did everyone get to play Pavlov? I guess because Adam's not here, he already played
Right.
Pavlov. You've obviously already played Pavlov. Anyone who's
Have you
listening
played it,
knows that
Will?
those two played.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit.
right.
Okay, cool. So it's just Jay and us who finally. I'd played Pavlov before, but not. I never owned it. So this was my first time owning and playing it, like giving it some proper attention. It'd also been forever since I'd last played it. Jay, this was like your true first time, right?
This was my first time experience, and not only that, but I'm still, as most of you know, very new to the like intense military sim type first person shooter VR games. Because on PSVR we didn't have many, and on PC I had only just finally tried War Dust and Contractors. Now Pavlov, I I gotta say, so as someone who has I've spent most of my life in Oregon and I have friends here who have lots of guns. I've gotten to shoot a lot of guns in real life. And Pavlov kind of frustrated me personally, because I've gotten to shoot an M4, an M16, and a Kalashnikov, which is basically like an AK. And what people don't realize, and I don't know if the developers have shot these guns are meant to be precision rifles that are held, fired precisely, and don't have much recoil because you're needing to be able to continually fire more shots if you're in a combat situation. I felt like I was shooting a 12 gauge shotgun with every gun I was shooting in Pavlov. Like I was holding the front of it, I'd shoot, and in 3 shots, I was at 45 degrees above my target.
Absolutely.
That was just the weirdest thing to me, especially after I just played a bunch of Contractors, which doesn't tend to do that. It made it a bit more of a frustrating experience than I expected, because every video I've seen, it's just so fun. And I was in there just struggling my way through. I finally started shooting from the hip, and I actually was getting way more kills shooting from the hip than trying to use the sights in that game. So that threw me all off.
Right. I was in a very, I think this makes me kind of really want you to try Onward now, because I think Onward does the best job.
Oh yeah,
of
you
it.
haven't.
I haven't.
Yeah. I think Onward does the best job of giving a more, quote, realistic expression of what recoil is like. You know, it's jumpy. I mean, you can't like shoot anything at a really far range with recoil, sure, but you can certainly hit targets close. Whereas in Pavlov, it is frustrating that if I'm going fully automatic, it only takes 1 or 2 full seconds before my left hand, which is like what was gripping the front of the gun, has been pulling down on recoil so much that I have it like down at my knee.
Yep.
Right.
By the time I'm done emptying a mag. No, that's not okay. That's not how guns work. And it's frustrating. And people take like a while. It's supposed to be 1-shot headshot, but most people buy armor, so it ends up being 2-shot headshot, which was frustrating already. People took a lot of shots to the body. To me, the entire experience felt like I was shooting ridiculous rubber guns at rubber people. That was how I felt playing it. It was weird. I didn't like it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, especially having similarly seen gameplay. It was like, okay, I'm expecting Counter-Strike in VR, but I prefer Counter-Strike. Usually I prefer VR versions of games. So this was like, I'm sorry, Destiny, but I wasn't crazy about it.
Oh, okay. That's tough to hear. I'm just playing, but no.
She
For
spent the
me,
entire time running around with a knife, so she doesn't get to say much. You know what?
I was wondering if that was going to come up. That was totally worth it, by the way. Well, actually, not really, because I didn't get to stab anybody. It's going to happen one day. I've yet to be able
Okay.
to use the knife.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
for me, that was actually, it was the first as far as playing it with a link, like playing it through Steam. And I was pretty happy with it. Like I was impressed. Like it wasn't glitchy. It ran really smooth. Everything was really nice. There was a few differences as far as like the workshop. I haven't really got to experiment with that too much and like at all the other custom maps. My biggest issue I noticed while playing with the link is the mic. I still have yet to figure that out, and I don't really know a lot of people that played Pavlov through the link. So if anybody knows, I know when it first got released, or when the link first came out and you could play Pavlov that way, the mic was disabled. And I don't know if it was like temporary for like an update they were doing, or if it's, if that's still why it's not working. But if anybody knows why the mic would not be working, but it works on all the other Steam games I play, like let us know in the comments or something. But other than that, like I had a lot of fun with it.
Mhm. If you really want to get that to work, I'd probably be down to spend some time troubleshooting with you. I was admittedly a little focused on just trying to figure out how to shoot the darn guns, so I
Right.
wasn't
Well, I
spending too much
even
time.
because like in the quest, you don't have to do anything at all without using the link. Like it just works.
Right.
And then, so with the link, I assumed it would do the same thing. And I actually even reached out to the people within the Pavlov Discord, and I still didn't really get a lot of helpful feedback. So
Unfortunate.
yeah. So I don't really know. Like I said, other than that though, I definitely recommend getting it for or through the Steam as well. It was worth it just
Mhm.
for the extra content that you can play.
Yeah, a lot of modding,
Yeah.
bigger player base.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would definitely if you like Pavlov for some reason. Uh, then then yeah, definitely for those that are like, "I'm stuck on my quest, is it worth?" Actually, you know what? Let me put the set question to you. So, if you for all those uh quest users that are like, I kind of want to like play the bigger, badder version of Pavlov, is the upgrade to a Link worth, say, purchasing a Link cable, or even more, is it worth like investing into a gaming computer? Like, how much better is it?
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, especially for people who already have a gaming computer, then absolutely, even if it's not just for Pavlov, even if it's for any of the Steam games, that should be one of the first things that you get. Like, I wish I would have been able to have the link when I first got my headset, but obviously, it's a newer release. But yeah, they definitely should get the link. And if you don't have a gaming PC, I that's a good one. I don't really know if it's worth investing as far as the games that you could be able to play, because I see, especially actually this past week with all these other new games that are coming to the Quest. There for a while it was kind of stagnant, but now there's a lot of new games coming. So I
Hmm.
almost would say, unless you just absolutely want one and you have the money to spend to go out and get one, get it. If not, then I don't think so. I think you're fine with your Quest alone, and I would just kind of hold tight and see all the new content that's coming out this year.
Right.
And
After
you
after Rip after Rip said that super condescending sentence about if you like Pavlov, I just have to say I feel a little guilty. I feel like I trashed it pretty hard. If I think I went into it with the wrong mindset. So let's hear from Will and Destiny, who hopefully think better of the game. Was I just expecting it to be too real? Was I thinking this was going to be a different experience, and that's what ruined the game for me? Would it have been fun if I went in with no expectations?
I think so. Like, I think it's a hilarious game. Maybe it's because I've seen so many funny videos come from that game that it is hard for me to take it, like, hardcore serious. Like, I do go in there just to have fun. Like, I'm definitely not gonna say that I am a really good Pavlov player. Like, I'm a pretty decent CS:GO player. Pavlov, I can try, but it's definitely more for just, to have fun, to goof around. What
Hmm.
about you, Will?
I honestly haven't played Pavlov in like 2 years, so I was just listening this whole time. But
Oh,
I
no.
remember when I did, I just kind of went in there to goof off. Like I wasn't expecting like an onward or firewall. I just wanted to run
Right,
around and
yeah.
shoot people, respawn instantly,
Yeah, it's
and
Hmm.
just mess
fun.
around. So yeah.
Well, and it's
Have you
like they
played
have
Contractors? Sorry.
oh, you're fine.
Oh, I have
Will?
contractors, but I just haven't put the time into it yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll have to try it. What were you gonna say, Destiny?
I think compared to the other games like Onward, I don't really know if, with all the maps that it offers or all the game modes, but I know with like Pavlov, especially the Triple T game mode, it's almost like it just kind of sets itself up to be more fun and goofy. Because like in
Hmm.
that game mode, the first time I played it, everybody wanted to line up and play Simon Says. And like, with the revolver and everything, and they'll do, like, Russian roulette, like, it's just so different, and I think that's one of the things that kinda caught me off guard when I did finally get to try Onward with y'all, is that it was a fun game, but it's so much more serious, like, it is very, very different. I thought they were gonna be a
Hmm.
lot more similar, but I love Onward, so it's a good game too.
Maybe you should play some more of it.
I will, yeah, that's something that we're definitely gonna
I'll
have to
believe it
jump
when
back
I see
into.
it.
So basically, what you guys are saying, though, okay, I think we went into the wrong game mode. Was really the problem. We went into like deathmatch. We had like these serious other players. So maybe next time I'll give it another chance. But I think maybe next time we go into
Yeah.
one of these other more lighthearted modes and try that first, because I went in ready for like a sim shooter serious game, and I felt like the controls weren't that, and yet the other people were that, and I was just getting killed, and I was even though I was shooting them, nothing was happening. So I see why I have such a bad taste in my mouth, but I'm ready to correct it and give it one more shot. So
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
definitely should. And I mean, at the same time, like, I will say there are very serious players who have tons of hours that they've put into the game, and there is a league, a competitive league for Pavlov. And so, it's for some people it is fun, I would say, but yeah, for others, and it has been around for a while, especially for the Quest. I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say it's one of the first FPS, like true FPS games to come out for it. So, I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely got to give it credit there.
All right. Okay. Well, you should still play more Onward.
I knew that was coming.
and maybe Jay and I will have to give Pavlov a bit of a try. Trouble in Terrace Town and some of those more lighthearted sort of fun goof around modes. The other games don't have a lot of that. Contractors is starting to get that, but I think that might be the fun to be had that I haven't had yet in
Yes,
Pavlov.
we'll have to try that too.
All right, fellas, I want to tell you about this wonderful game I discovered okay, that's not true. I played it before, but not in VR. That is No Man's Sky. Have you guys played No Man's Sky in VR
No,
specifically?
Yes.
Yes, from Jay.
no, I
Will?
watched the trailer for it.
Yes, I played a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was my first time. I liked it with an asterisk. um, it's okay. So for those that aren't familiar, for some reason you haven't heard of No Man's Sky, despite all the controversy. No Man's Sky is a crazy ambitious game where these people created a very small team of people created a game where you are a guy in space and you can explore a world with gazillions and gazillions of planets. All the planets are real planet-sized planets, and they're all procedurally generated. Actually, is that true? Well, they're procedurally generated initially. That's like how they were created, but everyone has the same exact procedurally generated world. So it's like everyone can visit the same planets and make the same discoveries. And over time, it launched without a lot of the features that we were told it would have. So it had a lot of backlash when it came out. But Hello Games, the maker of No Man's Sky, really put a ton of effort into making this game what they said it would be. We've got multiplayer, we've got base building, we've got all sorts of new land vehicles, we have mechs now, we have carriers. The amount of work that they put into this game to make it more than just walking around on a planet trying to, I don't know, burn enough plants to keep your ship running. That's kind of the original gameplay loop. They've come a long way from that. And in terms of that, I was super, super happy. So I played this game when it came out, and then I played it when I think the No Man's Sky Next update came out. I played it right after Carriers came out. Which was a big update, but that's now a little bit dated in terms of the amount of updates they've had. So for all those people they purchased No Man's Sky forever ago and they haven't picked it up, it's collecting dust, it's maybe even in a trash bin somewhere, I'd recommend trying it again. The amount of content there now, oh my goodness. Like I hear a lot of people still get burned out once they get to the end of all the new content. But for a new player, you easily get your money's worth now. It's got a lot to do. It's super fun. It looks very pretty. VR was a little so-so though. The controls were kind of weird. I am a pretty heavy VR user. In this game, I didn't get motion sickness, but I got a ton of eye strain, and I think it has to do with the anti-aliasing in the game or the lack thereof. Um, and I don't know, it was like really hard to look at stuff, and it wasn't just me. Uh our I never know like what to call him in terms of relation to the podcast. Our co-producer, or I don't know, excuse me.
Some guy. some guy that helps us with stuff. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, don't worry about him. He he was playing with me, and we both have the same. Like, it wasn't just me, but we both have this issue with No Man's Sky of getting headaches when we play it. So this is a VR podcast, so that's what matters for me here. It's playable, and I intend to jump back in VR because it's still a lot of fun and it's super cool to see all these crazy things in VR. It could still use some work though. There's some weird control decisions. You can't choose if your movement is head based as opposed to controller based. Fortunately, you could at least switch away from teleporting. I was worried that they didn't have that for a second. But there's a lot of like the controls are a little weird. Maybe they've just done the best they can with controls because there's a lot to do in that game, and you're doing a lot of different activities. So I understand the challenge, but I feel like there are some small quality of life improvements they could have made, especially when it concerns some of the like button mapping. I would like to remap my buttons, please and thank you. I suppose I could have done that in Steam, but I
No.
don't want to have to do that.
Controller bindings now. If it's going to be in game, it should be in game. Controller bindings are too much of a pain in the butt to deal with.
Exactly,
Yeah.
especially on Steam.
I think the only logical explanation here is that it's just better on PSVR. You know?
There it is.
No issues on PSVR. Literally perfect.
Literally perfect.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not going to be as impressive visually, but everything on there worked really well for me.
Well, maybe that's why my eye strain was so bad, because it was built for PSVR, and I just can't stand that kind of thing.
No.
I've been so used to my wonderful land of PC VR that having to gaze upon the world of PlayStation VR again just gave me a headache, to be honest. I love all you guys. I love all you PlayStation VR users. We're joking here. We're joking here.
Oh.
So, yeah. So what did you? So you guys didn't just play it this week, but what did you guys think of PlayStation? Not PlayStation. No Man's Sky VR.
So I started playing it on PlayStation VR first because I wanted to see the experience without going straight to PC. And even on PlayStation VR, it blew me away. The minute you finally get your ship up and running, you get in the ship and you blast off into space. Yes, the motion controls, no matter what platform, are a little weird trying to fly your ship. I will give it that. But hitting into space and seeing the stars, everything, it was like I was like laughing because I thought I was gonna cry. It was really cool. You step it up to PC and it's just that much more crisp, that much more clear, and it's really enveloping. It just feels like you're on these alien worlds. It's really good. The gameplay mechanics, I mean, it takes you through this long tutorial and you have to build a base, you have to do these other things, and that can feel a little like it's dragging on, I felt like, but it's so worth it. Every time you blast off into space, every time you hang out with your friends and you're goofing around, it is
so
just
good.
It is so good.
Multiplayer's a little funny though. Like it took us like a while to get multiplayer working because it's finicky as hell.
PSVR didn't do that at all. What did you think, Will?
No, that definitely happened for me. I remember there were times where we went like an hour and a half just trying to figure out what in the world was going on. We were just trying to join each other, and then it's like, "Oh, I'm in. Are you in?" He's like, "Oh, I see you." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? I'm right in front of you, dude."
Yeah, we had the same thing.
Yeah.
So nothing's changed.
No, sadly.
And I don't know how it is on PlayStation VR, but on computer, to add someone as fortunately the Steam allowed you to do like join game, which was how we got it to work in the end. But you can add friends, but to add friends, you need to add their friend code. And for goodness sake, no one should ever try to emulate Nintendo when it comes to a social network. Bad on you, Hello Games. It's lazy and it's awful. Also, you can't access any options from the main menu. I should have been able to hold a button to reset my center of vision because that was a little weird and funny. What was
PlayStation always has that button. I've gone on other podcasts.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But they always have that button in every game, and every headset should have that button that always just resets you.
Well, that was the thing is, resetting the view in either Steam or Oculus didn't affect it. It didn't do anything. It was awkward as hell. You had to pull up your menu, go to the controls, or just go to settings. Then there's a button to recenter your view. But the thing is, it's not like a lot of other stuff where you click that button and then you like get yourself situated and then you press, I don't know, trigger or something to have it settle. The moment you press that recenter HUD or recenter view, it recenters it. And I didn't
You have to
realize
be
that at
like
first.
sitting and aiming off to the
Yeah,
side. Yeah.
exactly. And like no one likes to look away from the center of view in a VR headset. They're not really built all that well for it. So this option on the menu that is off to the right, you have to like kind of like sit straight up, right? You want to get like exactly the view you want, looking straight ahead, and then look out of the corner of your eye and try and point at it. Click reset. Good. Did you ever play your game? Hello Games. It's pretty clear that a lot of the stuff transferred over from PlayStation VR. And no offense to PlayStation VR, but you guys lack joysticks. And gosh darn it, we've got joysticks now on PC. Take advantage of them. Why do I still have to use weird controls in your game, Hello Games? All right, we have perfectly good joysticks. Let's use those.
I blame the Vive because they didn't have them either.
Oh yeah, and Vive doesn't have it either. Speaking of HEC messing up, that was in the news section for those that are watching on YouTube and are just now only watching the game section. Watched our previous YouTube video about the HTC Vive's Suite to know what we're talking about. Nailed it. Links in the description. All right. We spent a while on that. You played Tower Tag Destiny?
Yeah.
I just now noticed this.
Yes.
Yes, I finally did. Jay convinced
Oh.
me that it was necessary.
Do tell.
Okay, so you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I actually kind of dug it. It was very different. It was very fun. But this is the
No
thing.
taste.
I 100 no. Yes, apparently, but I will say it is not the kind of game that I would play at home by myself. It absolutely is like a huge, like an arena type game. Like that's what I
Like play
think
an
of.
arcade sort of thing?
Yes, yeah, like, it
Yeah.
would be so good for that, like, as far as the visuals, the music, the interaction, everything, it was so arcade-like, and, so if they wanna gear it more towards, like, the, larger, like, area play games like that, then great, but I will agree at home, though, just by yourself, probably not the best game, like, I probably won't be playing it again, and in the game that I got in, there literally wasn't even anybody else, I couldn't even find another game, like,
Yeah.
I had to be against a bot,
Oh,
so,
jeez.
so yeah, that
There's
even
bots?
sucked a
Were
little
there
bit more.
bots?
Yeah, I played them while I was waiting for you to get in. They're
Oh.
rude.
Yeah, it was horrible. I just had the one single bot I was playing against, but so I guess like when y'all were talking about it, I was expecting something even like visually a little bit worse, but it wasn't too bad. Not
No,
that
it's not
bad.
too bad visually.
Yeah.
I hope we didn't roast them too much on that aspect.
No,
Visually, it was
we said
fine.
the visuals were nice, but we said that it was just, I mean, it was kind of dull. Like the graphics looked
Yeah.
good, but it wasn't very diverse environments. It's mostly a dark arena. Well, do you have any
Just
have you
the
seen anything about this
one
game? You know
I
what
single
we're
am
talking
scene.
about?
looking at the Steam page right now. Never heard
Okay.
of this.
Well, on last week's podcast, I ripped this game to pieces.
Oh,
Liv,
Yeah, we both
Liv
did.
Mixed Reality
It was
gave away a
pretty
ton of
funny.
codes. We got free codes to play it, and it was just it's this tower tag is what's called. Use one freaking controller. You don't use two. Use one. You only have two buttons that you're going to use. Your shooting trigger and your teleport button is basically what it is. And you try and hide behind this little tower and shoot other people and take the towers. And that's the entire depth of the game right there.
$20.
So now for Destiny to come and say it was kind of fun or anything, I don't know.
Fun
You have
for an
low standards for
arena
VR,
game.
I think. You
No,
need to
I could see it like said from a different perspective. Like at home, especially for that price, like I would definitely not go out and purchase it. But for people who are new to VR, like it was just such a very simple, easy game to get into that still kind of gives you that, that 360 experience. Because I don't know if
Mhm.
maybe if they have different maps, but the one that I was in, there was like icebergs and like different, like, it had, I don't know, the visuals were a little bit better.
You were
It just
creating the game
wasn't,
sessions.
I don't
I'm
know what
blaming this
she's
all on
on. There
you.
was
it had
like
like
no
ice.
arenas. I don't know. Maybe it got an
It had
update after
like,
day one, but I don't know what you're
I'm
talking
looking
about.
after
here.
day
They're
I
one.
all
tried
like
everything I could find in that game, and it was all just dark, boring arenas.
Yeah.
Really? See, yeah, that's where I was a little bit confused. I don't know.
Are you sure you
Maybe
played
try it
Tower
again.
Tag? Did you play a different
Oh
game?
yeah,
Was it only
yeah. No,
one
it's definitely
controller
tower
in the
tag.
game that
It
you
was
played?
actually Pavlov. It
Yes.
was
Oh, and
Pavlov.
okay, and no, I forgot I wanted to mention this. My favorite part, and this is definitely such like a girl thing to say, it was really cute, but on the gun, I don't know if y'all noticed, but it has like your name. I guess it's like your
Uh-huh.
Steam ID. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So you have like this cool like little laser gun in your hand that like has your name on it. And so it's very like specialized. But yeah, that's just like a small little detail.
Why would that be only a girl thing?
You thought it was cool? You like that?
It's like laser
I
tag.
am as a guy, I don't like any amount of personalization. That's just
I
it
don't
doesn't
know. I thought
speaks
that was
to
just more of a girl because I feel
Developers,
like
if you want to easily impress people, put their names in the
oh
game
yes,
somewhere.
yes.
That's
Yeah,
See,
literally you
I
get
love
points
that.
for this.
I
That
didn't
literally
notice
was the
that.
first thing I noticed it. Like I saw it and I was like, oh, that is so cool. That is so
I
cute. And I
probably
was
would have
like,
thought that was neat.
okay,
Yeah.
then see, yeah, they should definitely include that more. People like that.
Yes, I want my names on my arms, on my guns,
My
on my
Beat
head.
Yeah,
Sabers.
exactly. Like you want people to know,
Beat
like
Saber, yes.
this
I want my name
is
on my
your stuff.
sabers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That'd be kind of cool, actually.
I know, right? Good idea. They need to come up with that next mod.
Good job, Will. Yeah, tell all those people that make all the Beat Saber mods. Give them a little bit of feedback. I
Yeah.
want my name on my
Yes.
sabers. But like in that like elven rune language that like the Hobbit uses, or not the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings.
Just do it in code.
Interesting. Yeah, so for those that aren't really getting what she means by arcade, this game originally came out not for consumer use. It was in VR arcades, like real life arcades that had VR. So people would be able to show up. They had larger play spaces, so you would be able basically when you're playing this game, you're on a tower and you have this pole in the center and that's your only cover and you can move around this pole and on like in like a little area. And when you're at home, you can't move around this tower in any way except for with your own real life feet. So if you have excuse me, if you have a small play space, this thing's like nearly impossible to play. And so when you're at an arcade and this is like the first game you've played, it's only got one controller, it's only got two controller inputs, and it makes a lot of sense in that scenario. And I think that's what she's saying.
Yeah,
That for
yeah,
those that
for
were
sure.
confused and need some catching up. All right, Jay.
So on to something totally outside of the realm of actual games. I tried something today. A developer sent me a code. They said, "Hey, Mr. Brat, this is coming out tomorrow. Do you want to try this?" It's called V Rocker. So like VR and the word rocker, you slap them together. For those of you who actually follow my channel or are part of my community, you'll know if someone says what the J Brat wiggle is. Will knows what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Apparently when I am in Rec Room and I'm playing capture the flag and I get the flag and I'm really into it, for some reason, I don't know if it's to not get shot or something, I do this weird thing as I'm running across the map where I like move side to side. Maybe that's why I get so many flags, because no one can shoot me because I'm doing this. Well, imagine any VR game you want to play, just doing that in real life will now move your character inside of the game for you. So this is a plugin similar to like Turn Signal that we've talked about before. So like this plugs into VR games, and now if you want to have locomotion instead of using your joystick or whatever you're using, you can use this side to side motion. You can actually run in place, whatever kind of movement you do, basically programs it to move you in the game world instead.
Oh,
So it's like the super poor version of a VR treadmill is what this thing is. Now, I feel like in my explaining of it, I'm making it sound a lot simpler and like it works a lot better than it does. It is coming out, but it's coming out in early access. It's not there yet. I could see the value in it if you're wanting to just subsidize your gameplay and like add some exercise to it. This I truly don't think, no matter how well the developer does here, I truly don't think this will ever fully replace locomotion in any game. But for a game like No Man's Sky, if like during those parts where you're running across the map to another part, you wanted to like, oh, okay, I'll use this mode real quick where I can actually get some physical activity and run, great. Would you ever be able to play a game like Pavlov intensely and competitively with this? Absolutely not. That being said, they've done a lot of work. It does kind of work. The thing that bugged the crap out of me, though, was so how it works, if you want to activate it, you need to do something to activate it. So to activate this thing to start, you either hold your right stick any direction, doesn't matter. You just hold your right stick and suddenly it activates. And then now if it senses your headset moving intensely, it'll start to move you forward. And when I say forward, I mean whichever way your left freaking hand is facing, not which way your head is facing. So it was so disorienting to try and figure this thing out. There's all these settings. It looks like a developer tool. It's not super user friendly to anyone. So you're tweaking all these settings, and there will be a video on my channel by the time this drops in the podcast. So if you're really curious about it, check it out, because in there I talked about it. I was giving the developer feedback. Like, the problem is they had all these slides that told you how this works and how this works and how this works, and then like 6 slides in, it's like, okay, now try it. It's like, okay, I even told the developer this day, you should have one slide and then make me get to another part of the map using this to figure out how that thing worked that you just told me, and then bring up another slide.
Right.
Because I did all this reading and I was so lost by the time I got there. The other problem too, at the end of it, lets you play this little mini game where you use this basically to run around and shoot these little stuffed animal creatures that are chasing you. And in practice and in playing and shooting things, it was way more fun than any part of this intro that I had almost quit during. So if they would kind of include that, like, okay, go shoot this guy over here and then read the next slide, and it would have been a more fun experience to learn, and I would probably be a bit more sold on it. But it's definitely not going to replace locomotion anything. It won't become the new platform. But if you're trying to get some exercise while playing these games like Skyrim or No Man's Sky, you're playing for hours on end, this could be a viable solution. The problem is it has to be mapped to somewhere on your controllers to activate it. And so you might lose something by setting it to a certain button. You might lose that button. So you guys have probably seen some other things that have kind of tried this, people trying to figure out locomotion.
I've seen games do similar stuff.
We talked about that a little last week, I think. Like,
which never works.
Yep,
and I hate it. I would never download a plugin so that I get the wonderful experience of having to do that.
Well, let's say you were someone that's trying to get a little exercise in your gaming session. Maybe it could be worth it for those intense games, but or if it doesn't make motion sick, although I will tell you, I was so disoriented. I don't ever get motion sick, and I came out of this feeling really weird because I was like so disoriented from trying to figure this movement style out. Makes me think of the 3D rudder, huh, Will?
Oh. I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't see anyone using this for more than a few minutes at a time.
Yeah.
Also, what is that name? Rocker? What?
V-Rocker.
That's the last thing I expected from that name. Rocker?
When I first heard that...
Be careful YouTubing
it. When I first heard that, I thought you meant like you would have, for example, like you would set the center, and then you would like lean in a direction, and leaning in a direction would like make you move that way. That's what I thought you were saying at first.
Oh man, no.
Yeah,
that would be weird too. Let's just lean.
That would be weird too. I was like trying to imagine, like, I feel like I'd be constantly moving without meaning to.
Well, that's the thing. As long as you're not touching whatever button activates this, you won't move. But if you are, then you will. And I had to turn the sensitivity way up to get it to really feel right. But then the problem was, if I still was holding that button, or if I was still holding that stick, and I moved to like swing a sword or something, it would then move my body. So you like had to consciously let go of this button that was activating this mode.
Right.
So it definitely needs to be worked on. And I don't know. I feel like they're kind of making something that no one's asking for, unfortunately. So I doubt it'll have a huge life.
So good luck to them. Gotta work out some kinks, it feels like.
Yeah, majorly. That talking about really weird and awful experiences. Will, what have you been playing this week?
I was about to say it only gets worse.
Oh no!
I recently played a PSVR game called Good Dog Bad Dog.
VR is really fun, guys. For all of you that are like, do I want to get into VR? Let me listen to this podcast. And everyone's like, man, these games suck.
It was all I played. I didn't know what else to say.
It's just a bad week, guys. It's just a bad week.
It was not good. So the goal of Good Dog Bad Dog is it just kind of puts you into this sandbox area where you get to choose your dog, and then you're in the first person view. It's kind of cute. You can see like your snout in front of you. I'm like, okay,
you play
this
as
is
the
kind of
dog.
stupid. Yeah, you're literally the dog.
Oh.
Like, this could be fun in a stupid way. I love being stupid in VR. And it's just, they set up this karma system. So the whole game is, like the title states, you can be a good dog or a bad dog. So like every 15 minutes, the timer resets. So you're trying to get as good or bad as you can within the time limit. and I have no idea why they set it to a time limit. It's not like, I'm going to be replaying every day like, oh, I'm going to beat my good dog score. But yeah,
Sounds so
basically,
ridiculous.
I tried to see how far I could push this thing. Like, who wants to be a good dog? I want to be the worst dog on planet Earth.
Right, yeah.
So I went out on the streets. I ran off my leash. I bit some kids. I ran away from the pound, the dog catcher guy. I ignored the owner. I peed on the carpet. I did literally everything I could. And the owner's just like, oh, good doggy. Oh, come here.
What?
I'm like, what? I did all that and nothing changed. So this whole karma system that the game set up, it affects nothing. It's
just points.
It's an endless cycle. You wake up one day, come get some food, drink some water. I'm like, okay, go play ball. You're playing ball. Like, it's like a 5-minute game of ball. You're just going back and forth until you eventually get so bored that you just leave.
Sounds like someone with like a fetish for being a good dog.
Yeah, I know.
This game.
I think we're missing the big picture here, is what's actually
happening. What's the big picture?
I think this game is explaining to us a euphemism of what the life of a dog is all like. You can wake up one day and you can be good all day and your owner's going to say, hey, you're a good dog. You can wake up the next day and be the worst dog ever. And what happens when I go to someone's house and their dog's peeing all over the place? What do I see them tell their dog? You're such a good dog. It doesn't matter how you act as a dog. This game is teaching us a lesson about how we treat our dogs. If you want your dog to be a good dog, reward them. If you don't want to be a bad dog, don't still tell them they're a good boy.
See, if I'm going to look for like a deeper message, the deeper message I feel like I would see is like, do you realize how boring your dog's life is when they're trying to be good? Would you want to play fetch for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I respect that, but you're completely wrong. Well, go on.
It's just nothing that you do changes anything. You bite some kids, they're like, and then they return to their normal walking animation like 2 seconds later. And then you go, the owner, you can't even mess with the owner's life because everything they do in their life consists of, taking care of their dog. So they never go take a shower, they never go to sleep. They are just helping you nonstop. Like, come play fetch, go on a walk. Their life revolves around the dog. And you can't bite your owner. Your owner's immortal, by the way. Nothing you can do can,
right.
I wanted to kill my owner. I was a bad dog.
Walk him out into traffic.
Nothing. There wasn't any cars. There wasn't even any cars. They were all parked. I couldn't hear anything in it. Yeah. It was terrible.
No dogs, no cars to chase.
There's like 2 songs in the game, so that just increases your madness because you're hearing the same loop. You're like, yeah, I don't want to be a dog. It's like, no. Yep. It's $25 too. $25.
Yeah.
What?
$25. I talked to a guy and I was like, dude, you got to lower that price. It's got to be like $5 to even get some sales.
Right.
And he's like, well, even if you lower the price, it's already appealing to a niche audience, dog owners who want to see what their dog's life is like. I'm like, dude, you know how many people, I didn't say this to him, but I was like, you know how many people just want to mess around as a dog in a sandbox? It's not just dog owners. Like, anyone
feel like
would
you should have said that to him.
Yeah. No, I didn't. He seemed to be, yep. I'll just stop there.
Yeah, I mean, has the developer ever seen Untitled Goose Game or Goat Simulator? Any of those? The fun animal games are the ones you mess around in.
Yeah.
Come on now. This is well established.
Especially in VR.
Especially in VR. Yeah, when someone's in VR, the first thing they do when they come across a person, they try to slap him in the face to see what happens. People are a malevolent bunch in VR.
Facts.
Isn't there a cat game where you play as like the stray cat?
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
There's a couple of cat games in there.
Definitely.
They're all just fantastic. You should go play Cat Lateral Damage Destiny. It's a whole new experience. Look, I'm going to send you a link to the trailer to it after this for Cat Lateral Damage, just so you can see the glory that is this game.
It actually has you crawling on the floor.
Okay, yeah, let me know.
What?
It has you crawling on the floor like a cat.
Yeah.
I tried it.
All right.
Apparently I got a thing for these cat games, but I was like, with the Move controllers, they have like the balls on top. every time I needed to hit something, I would always just hit the floor, push against it. I couldn't. The floor was too low for me to hit anything.
This
Oh,
is the
So
cat
I was
game
just
or the dog
breaking
game?
my
the cat
controllers. Oh, this
game.
is a cat game.
Okay.
This one actually has your hands in the game, and you're doing everything. I couldn't play for more than 5 minutes. It was terrible.
Yeah, I've never
This is what I
played
meant
any
by I
cat
play
game.
everything. I literally play everything.
Every crappy game apparently.
Yeah. So when something like The Walking
Apparently.
Dead comes around, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. After playing like 10 indie games that are terrible. Oh, man.
I just hear these
It's good to
games and
know
I
about
just can't
those
help but
too.
feel like they're like for furries or something.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I should
I
stop
definitely
playing.
can picture that.
I'm not gonna say anything about that.
I'm just gonna stop ranting. I'm just gonna. I
Because
can't. I could talk
can't
about this
deny
all
it.
day.
Right? He's like, we're not hush hush.
All right, I'm gonna move us on because we're already at according to my little timer here, at least over an hour and I don't know,
Woo.
5 minutes something. Well, I'll find out after this. So we'll be moving on to the opinions section. Yet again, we have this discussion. Will you? I just don't have it.
Disquassion.
This disquassion will be brought to you from another Discord community member. This has been really fun to take it because a lot of times we get these questions from the Discord community asking questions that are like, you know what, we kind of want to talk about this a little bit more than just the Q&A session, and those make their way into the discussion section. If that sounds interesting to you, by all means, join the Discord community. It's a fun place. So this one's from TechRS, and he said, let's see, is this verbatim what he asked, or is this...
Yep.
Okay. Just Reverb G2 or Valve Index, that's it?
Simple question. Yep, I like it.
All right, cool. He asks Reverb G2 or Valve Index.
Now, this is probably a question a lot of people are asking with the new information of the G2. So, I think that we got a little thing of specs up here for everyone to see just to make life a little easier. But for those people out there who haven't even heard of the G2, new headset through the Windows mixed reality line. And if I didn't lose you in that sentence, well, let me keep going. $600 will get you the headset. It's got inside out tracking. It's got 4 cameras. It's got 2 Windows mixed reality controllers that have been slightly improved for better ergonomics. And $600. It has very high resolution of 4320 by 2160 between 2.89-inch LCD screens. So you're looking at 2160 by 2160 per eye. 114 degree field of view. If that means anything to you, that basically means it's a little bit more than most of your common headsets out there. And it just got announced, and it's very exciting to the few people who are going to go for it.
I don't know. It's tough. No one in this podcast, even if Adam was here, none of us have the HP Reverb G2. So there's a little bit of like, don't knock it till you try it. Yeah, it's so like, while we have our opinions based off what we've seen and what we know from previous Windows mixed reality headsets, which honestly hasn't been great experiences, there, if you've, as a lot of VR is, if you've got a friend that's got this, do that first. That's always going to give you a way better impression than anyone here can give you. That said, we still need viewers, so stick around. So, what do you guys think? You gave a little bit. Will, what do you think? Reverb? Have you seen this before? Is this your first time hearing about this?
No, that's my first time hearing about it.
Gotcha.
He
honestly,
ignores the world of
when
Windows
it comes
mixed
to
reality.
VR, when it comes to VR headsets, I'm just always on the cheap side. Like if it passes the $500 range, I just normally don't go for it, no matter how good it is. I'm just that cheap.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really have
That's a lot
anything
of
to say
people.
on it. Yeah.
That's a lot of people are like, once you get over like $500, that goes from console price to like enthusiast level equipment. And not a lot of people are willing to, let alone able to, fork out that much money. So if that once they reach that kind of pricing, they're really, I feel like how do I put this? There's a lot of people, if you're skimped on money, then you're going to go for the best bang for buck, which is right now the Rift S or the Quest. This isn't a better bang for buck than either of those. So it's not going to get that audience. The other big audience are the people that have lots of money to spend and they don't mind spending a lot of money. And for them, they're going to want a better headset than this, which is going to be the Valve Index because it's got better tracking. It isn't. This has worse inside out tracking than the Rift S, which is saying something.
Mm.
And it's got some stuff that's better, but Rift S has some like why I say go and try these things. A lot of headsets are notorious for their their screens. Even if they have higher specs on paper, it doesn't necessarily mean that the technology is pulled off well. Rift S is really well known for having lesser specs than a lot of the other competitors, but it does so much more with those specs that it has that it feels like a better, more immersive experience. And that is somewhat true for Windows mixed reality. These headsets are known for having a lot of issues. So it's got some better specs, but that versus the now really popular Valve Index, I don't know. I don't think I would recommend it, even if it's $400 less. Wait, okay, is the Index $900 or $1,000?
It's
Now,
$1,000
I
for
think
the
it's a
whole
thousand
package, I
altogether.
believe. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
for everything.
Mhm.
So Index is $400 more dollars. Granted, I think I mean, not just I think, I know that I would still get a Valve Index, but I've
Oh,
got an
for
order
sure.
placed for that, and I'm not switching to this. Even if it's cheaper, it's just if you've got the money to spend more, then I don't think a lot of people would want this. I don't.
Destiny, you were trying to say something over there. What are you thinking?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing. Definitely Index. And especially for people who are just getting into VR, like you said, they're not going to want to go past that price point. That definitely crosses over into the enthusiast level.
Right. Yeah, $400 is already stretching it. That's like that's not even a console. That's a brand new unused console price typically.
Yeah.
Um, that's not something people put down. That's certainly not something I expect a lot of younger people to be able to imagine. I imagine there's not a lot of parents that are going to hear, "Hey, I want to get the Reverb G2. How
Right.
much is it?" It's $600. Is there a cheaper one? Yes.
Your kid impression is spot on there.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
basically you're all getting the same consensus from us, but just to give you a little tiny bit of more information, if you were still wondering, there's only 3 things on paper where the Reverb G2 wins. One is absolute resolution, that's pixel for pixel. One is price, $400 less, and the other is the ease of tracking. So tracking isn't going to be good, but it is inside out. You don't have to set up sensors. So if you're someone who has a laptop and you travel and you like to do VR while you're traveling, this might be better for you for those reasons. If the Rift S didn't exist, it would probably be smart to get this headset, but the only other crowd that this might really serve, and I say that because the original Reverb did actually attract a lot of these people, is sim racers and cockpit players, because you throw away those terrible controllers that it comes with because they're awful, and the resolution really makes up for it, because people were saying how they got into like a flight simulator game and you could see what every gauge actually said above it. You could read it because of this super high resolution of the original
I
Reverb.
hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, this one's better. So if you don't care at all about hand tracking or any of that, and you're thinking, oh, the Valve Index has the best resolution field of view, well, you're going to lose a little field of view, but you're going to save yourself a lot of money. You're going to throw away these controllers, and you're probably going to have the crispest, clearest picture and more than good enough tracking for a cockpit or a driving game. That's the only people I could see that I would recommend this headset to ever over the Valve
Right.
Index.
I'd also like to note,
Good
I'm looking
point.
at the pictures of it again. Doesn't it kind of have the same setup that like the Oculus has, where it doesn't have any weight in the back?
Yeah, it also doesn't weigh very much, though. It only weighs 1.1
That's right.
pounds
Yeah, that is a lot
versus, yeah,
less.
versus the
Okay.
Index weighs 1.78, so that's almost 2. So it might not matter. It might be comfortable enough that you wouldn't notice that about it, but yeah, you could be right. It might weigh your head down. We haven't tried it, so I can't give you any anything there.
And it does come with those nice little like speaker attachments on the side, which is a plus. It does you know what? When you put in the context of Sims, I could see this being the headset of choice. I will grant people that. It's, you don't have to set up lighthouse tracking. It's a light headset, which is nice for when you're doing long hours of Sims. Okay, all right. I get it. I see it. I don't agree with it,
Yeah, that
but
is
I get it. And I haven't been able to get my eyes on my eyes. Well, yeah, I haven't been able to get my eyes on it, or in it for that matter. And that's going to be the real tell. Is Oculus Rift, despite it having less resolution than a lot of these headsets, has really good technology behind how their pixels are like arranged, and it makes for this experience where even though there's technically less pixels showing an object, the way it sort of meshes together makes it feel a little bit more seamless, so to speak. Like you see objects clearly. They don't feel like weird. They don't feel like VR objects. They feel a little bit more immersive. And when you get a high resolution, maybe don't need that. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you can stick to a more standard LED panel experience, and maybe that's what they pulled off. So again, if you have one of those very few people that have the Reverb G2, because I don't think many people have it right now, try it out. That's always the best way to do it.
Tell us what you think. I'd love to hear from anyone who's actually played it, or even an original Reverb, because I never got to play that one, and this one's supposedly just way better than it. So
I have heard from people who have used that, and they never really liked it. They've always they tried. I mean, people who have something who would like only have tried the VR headset that they have will often be like, "Yeah, this was great," but from people I know that have been able to try more than just the Windows mixed reality headsets and been able to try the Rift S or the Vive or the Index for a very select few people, um, none of them came away going, yeah, I think the Windows mixed reality headsets were the ones to go with. None of them did that. Every one of them goes, yeah, the Rift S is, it's comfy. It's a lot of people have it. Yeah, the amazing Oculus software to go with it. Yeah, I don't know. Any more opinions on that before we wrap up this podcast?
Get a PSVR.
There you go.
Or you can get a PlayStation
Quest.
VR. Or you can do that.
It'll work on PS5 and PS4.
Yeah, I guess you can.
Oh my gosh. I am a PSVR lover. You guys all know that. It does have its flaws, but one thing that is a good explanation for those of you who have gotten to try it, or an original Rift or a Vive out there, where when I talk about specs don't mean everything. The original PSVR had surprisingly little screen door effect, and no one knew why, but Sony put this light diffusion layer in there that was then copied by like the Samsung Odyssey Plus. So people couldn't figure out, why did this thing seem to have no screen door effect, as opposed to the original Rift or the original Vive having a lot of it. So that's where I'm saying, don't trust these specs with the Reverb. Same situation. You never know. You might try it on and this thing might be amazing, or it might be way worse. Specs don't mean everything when it comes to these. So always a good thing to remember with any VR headset.
Yeah. Comfort goes a long way, guys. You're going to, once you get used to VR, you're going to be wanting to use this a lot. And the thing that makes your VR headset become a dust collector is typically the ease of use and the comfort. If your thing's uncomfortable, then when you get at home after a long day of work and you're tired and you're like, what do I want to do tonight? And you're like, well, I could put on the headset, but it's super front heavy. It's always uncomfortable and it's got this screen door effect. Then you're just not going to be playing it as much as you probably thought you would when you first bought it. And that's always the concern for me. All right. And with that, we're going to wrap up this podcast. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, we have that guy's Will. Super great to have you on the podcast, man. We would love to have you again when we have an open spot. We're still trying to figure out what this arrangement will be when we have more than 4 people, for guests, but we're planning on it.
Cool. Yeah.
If you want to find out more about you, Will, where do they go? Tell us about
Yes.
yourself.
Well, I can go to YouTube and search me up. I'm That Guy Is Will, all one word, and then space VR. I cover everything PSVR, so all the upcoming PS5 news and game reviews like Good Dog, Bad Dog, and live streams, all that stuff. And then
I assume he plays better games than that.
I guess you'll have to
the
find
cat
out.
one.
Yeah. And then there's also psvrreview.com where I post written stuff. So if that's your thing, there's that too.
Yeah. So check them out, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you all in the next one. See you later.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Where virtual reality is our reality. Don't leave that in.
Leave it.
PSVR.
Jay, look beside you.
Is the pillow?
Look.
Is the pillow?
Oh my gosh!
It's right there. Ow! Oh, I just punched my nose.
There's been so many times where I've tried to not laugh. Where like there was one just like levitating over there by the stairs, and